Hello everyone, I am Ankush Chidimar and welcome to this YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss in a very detailed and crisp way your essay 620 which is asked in your exams from 2 to 7 marks, and we are going to discuss it from a new concept book in which we have already given you the crux of all the tricky questions, and few questions we are going to discuss from the question bank as well. I am also going to mark you some important topics, and we are going to do this particular topic from our handwritten notes. This time I have prepared the handwritten notes in more colorful format, and we have included more details so that we can tell you more stories and more memory techniques to understand and to learn all the keywords. Okay, yes sir, these handwritten notes PDF can be found on our Telegram channel link can be found on our description and pin comment. Do ensure that you join the Telegram channel, because tonight we will be going to ask you an MCQ, a very tricky level of MCQ from this particular topic, and so that we are able to cover a whole of the CA final audit syllabus in a very crisp and detailed way with all the questions as well. And lastly sir, I am also going to ask you an MCQ at the end of the revision video, so do ensure that you're watching the revision video till last. Do like the video. We are keeping a like target of 100. I am definitely sure that you will be able to help me achieving the like target, and do comment down CA with your name so that you make a manifestation that you are definitely going to clear your CA exams. And on this YouTube channel we have posted all the revision videos before this topic. Sir, where are the revision videos of SS 600, 610? So SS 600 is related to group audit, SS 610 is related to internal audit, so we will do them with those particular topics. But apart from that, we have covered all the standards till this particular topic, and we are going to cover more important resources and all revision videos for CA final audit on this YouTube channel. So do ensure that you subscribe this YouTube channel as well. Next sir, if you find any topic difficult, then you can just pause the video and do a self-study, because with the revision video, self-study is also important. If you have any query, any question in this particular topic, you can ask in the comment section. I will reply that so that all the students can get their doubt resolved. Okay, yes sir, without much ado, let's begin with our essay 620. Now before beginning, just pause this video and do ensure that you give a readout, a revision of your essay 500, especially the management expert topic, because that is also going to be revised over here with essay 620. Okay, many points are repeated in essay 620. Okay, yes sir. Now let's start with essay 620. Essay 620 talks about using the work of auditor expert. Now who is an auditor expert sir? It is same like your management expert. The management expert was the person who has an expertise in other than accounting and auditing field, whose work was used by the management in preparation of the financial statement. In the same way, auditor expert is a person who is an expertise in other than accounting and auditing field, whose work is used by the auditor while doing the audit. Then it is called the auditor expert. Okay, yes sir. Especially it is other than accounting and auditing expert, and the management expert is not covered over here. Management expert is covered in your essay 500. Okay, yes sir. What are the example of fields in which the auditor expert may have an expertise in? So you will remember sir, your two papers, that is financial reporting and tax. In financial reporting, two topics, that is complex financial instruments valuation. We are not expert, and we will hire an expert for valuation of complex financial instruments. Or next is actuarial calculation of liabilities like gratuity payable, PF payable and all. Next, in terms of tax, what we will do sir, we will do interpretation of tax for oil and gas reserves. So we can have an expert who is an expert in interpretation and of contracts and laws and regulation, who is an expert in solving complex tax compliance issues, who is an expert in estimating the oil and gas reserve. These are just the examples, and we can hire more experts who have an expertise other than accounting and auditing field. Now here, even if you have used the work of another auditor's expert, your sole responsibility will not reduce. Auditor's responsibility for forming an opinion on the financial statements and for the auditor's report will not reduce. You will be solely responsible for the responsibility and for the opinion. Okay, yes sir. And this auditor expert can be an internal expert and can be an external expert. Who is an internal expert sir? Internal expert is basically all the members, all the staff, the permanent staff and the temporary staff of our firm, and the permanent staff and temporary staff of our network firm, all are called internal expert. And who is an external expert sir? Basically other than these internal expert, they are called external experts. For suppose there is a CA who is joining our firm after 1 year. After 1 year he will be joining our firm, which means it is a prospective firm member. Will be called an internal expert or an external expert? He will be called an external expert because he is currently not the part of the firm. Okay, yes sir, I am telling this because I say ask this particular question in your MCQ. Okay, yes sir. Now whether we need the auditor's expert or not, we need to make a decision whether we need the auditor expert or not. And based on what we will make a decision sir? Based on the essays that we have already done, we will make the decision. Based on essay 315, when we were understanding the entity, and based on understanding, we are identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement. Now after identifying, we need to respond to those risks. For responding, we will perform further audit procedure. After performing further audit procedure, we will get audit evidence. So we are evaluating the audit evidence. So through all these 5 procedures, what we will do sir? We will get to know whether we need to use the auditor expert in this particular audit engagement or not. Okay, yes sir. Next thing, suppose I need to use the auditor expert, but what I am doing is, as an auditor, I am understanding the field of expertise that the audit expert is having, so that I am not using the auditor's expert. Which means what sir? Either I am using my own experience in audit, or I am discussing with another auditor who is having similar engagement, or if we don't have any experience I don't have any experience, or my similar auditor don't have any experience. So what I'm doing is I'm gaining that experience, I'm gaining that education or professional development, so can so that I can do the work myself and I don't have to pay to auditor's expert. Okay, yes sir. Now next thing is whether to use the auditor's expert, which means what sir, when what matters, in what areas you have to use auditor's expert, what are the factors that will help you in guiding whether you have to use the auditor's expert in this particular area or not. You need to see the headings very clearly. Here the heading is need for auditor's expert, and here the heading is whether to use the auditor's expert. Now where we have to use the auditor expert sir, that will depend on the matter, the area that we are testing. That will depend on the nature and significance of the matter, how much important it is. Is it so much significant that there can be a risk of material misstatement, and if yes, then what are the nature of audit procedures that we are planned, whether we have the experience and the knowledge of the work that we are deciding, or secondly whether there is any alternative sources of evidence available, which means what sir, whether there is any alternative sources apart from using auditor expert, whether we can do anything else so that we can obtain an audit evidence. We will see that. So based on these things we will decide whether we want to use an auditor expert for this particular matter or not, and secondly we will also see whether management has used the management expert for this particular area or not. Okay, yes sir, these are the 4 points that we will be checking whether we need to check whether we need to use the management auditor's expert or not. Okay, yes sir. Now if management has used the management expert for that particular area, now we will see more factors to determine whether we need to use the auditor's expert or not. What factors we will see sir? We will see entity, we will see management expert, and we will see the work of management expert. In terms of entity, what we will see sir, whether the management expert is employed by the entity or any party are engaged by it. Next we will see whether entity has internal control over the work of the expert, whether they control the work of expert or not. Next, in terms of management expert, we will see whether the management expert has CCO, that is competence and capability. Competence, in terms of competence we will see whether the management expert is following any technical performance standards or not. Next, in terms of work, what we will see sir, we will see the nature, scope and objective of the work that is done by management expert, and whether the management controls the work of expert or not. Okay, yes sir. Based on these factors we will decide that the management has used a management expert, so we have to, should we use an auditor expert or not. Okay, yes sir, these are mota overall, these are the factors that we had already discussed in your SA 500. Let's discuss it from the concept book, revision under revision. We have just identified whether we need to use the management auditor's expert and where we need to use the auditor expert. I'm just confusing between auditor and management, but yeah, don't mind about it. So we are talking about SA 620, using the work of auditor expert. What we are talking, sir, first of all, it is going to be your sole responsibility for the audit opinion, and that responsibility is not reduced by using the auditor's expert. First thing this. Second thing, auditor's expert is basically same as management expert, which is having expertise in other than accounting and auditing field. He can be an internal expert, which means he is a temporary staff of network firm, is also an internal expert, or he can be an external expert, like prospective firm member is an external expert. Okay, yes sir. And what are the examples of the field in which he may have an expertise? FR and tax. FR in what is in FR? Valuation of complex financial instruments and actuarial calculation of liabilities. In tax, interpretation of tax for oil and gas reserves. Okay, yes sir. SA 620 does not deal with those kind of people which we are hiring who have an expertise in accounting and auditing, because we also have an expertise in accounting and auditing. And secondly, auditor, when auditor is using management expert, in that SA 500 is applicable, SA 620 is not applicable. Next, whether we need to use auditor's expert in this particular audit engagement or not, based on what we will decide sir, based on 5 procedure: 315, 330 and 500. Obtaining understanding of the entity and identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement. Based on risk of material misstatement, we will implement responses to the risk, which means we will perform further audit procedure, and while performing further audit procedure we will get audit evidence, so evaluating the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Next sir, we either can use auditor's expert or we can use the knowledge, we can obtain the knowledge of the field in which the auditor expert has the expertise, so that we don't have to use an auditor's expert. What we'll do sir, for that what we will do, we will either use our experience, or we will discuss with the auditors who have performed the similar engagement, or if that is not available, then we will also educate ourselves. We will go do an education or professional development in that particular field, so that I can save some money. Okay, yes sir. Now this is an important thing sir, whether to use auditor's expert. I said whether to use auditor expert, you heard where to use auditor's expert. Okay, yes sir. What are the things that we need to consider? We need to see the matter. What is the nature of the matter? What is the significance of matter? Is it so much significant that there is a risk of material misstatement? If yes, then what are the nature procedures to respond to those risks? And whether the management has used the management expert. If the management has used a management expert, this is also important. Then how we will decide sir? We will see the expert, we will see the entity, the management expert and the work. In terms of entity, we will see whether the management expert is employed by the entity or is a party engaged by it. Secondly, whether there is an internal control in the entity over the management expert work. Secondly, what we will see in management experts are competence and capability. In terms of competence, we will see whether any technical performance standards are complied or not. In terms of work, we will see whether the nature, scope, and objective of the work is followed, and to what extent the management is controlling the work of the management expert. Okay, yes sir. Now we have decided that yes, we will be using the work of auditor expert. Now, since in the beginning I told you that we will be responsible for the work of the auditor's expert, so here we have to perform procedures on the work of the auditor expert to evaluate whether they're adequate for us or not. Now, the procedures that we'll be performing on the auditor's expert work, what will be the NTE of the procedures, whether we have to perform more procedures or whether we have to perform less procedures, what are the factors for deciding this particular thing. Now, here are the factors that are deciding this particular thing, and these factors we have already discussed about. What are the factors, sir? Matter in terms of matter, we will see the nature, significance, and romum, the 3 points that we have discussed about. Like if the significance is more, if the romum is more, then we need to perform more procedures. Next, we will see the expert, which means what, sir? We will see the previous experience with the work. If we have already got a previous experience with this particular auditor expert work, suppose I'm using this auditor expert from quite a years now, so I have a previous experience with the work, then I don't need to use more procedures. And thirdly, if the expert is part of my firm only, if I have a firm, I am a part of an audit firm, and the audit firm has another team, and from that team I am using an auditor expert, which means what, sir? That expert is also subject to my own firm quality control system, and I know if it is subject to my firm quality control system, then he would have worked with quality. Then if I know that he had worked with quality, then I may need to perform less procedures. So these are the factors that help us in determining whether we need to perform more procedures or less procedures. Okay, one says matter in terms of nature, significance, and romum, that we have already discussed. In terms of expert, here also we discuss about the knowledge and experience. So here we are talking about the experience, the same experience is being carried forward here, whether we have the previous experience with the work and whether he is from our firm, which means what, sir? He is subject to our firm quality control system, whether he is an internal expert. Okay, yes sir. Next, now the question is when we can say that there is a need for more extensive procedures on the work of the auditor expert. So here the same factors that we have discussed about, the same factors, linkages will be coming over here, like where we need to perform more procedures. We need to perform more procedures if the nature of matter is such that it is integral to the audit, it is important part of the audit, it is an intermingling with the audit. Suppose an auditor expert, I have hired an auditor expert and I have told the auditor, you are doing all the tax working, you are checking all the tax provisions, and you are doing everything related to tax. Okay, and second, there is an auditor expert in which I am just consulting with that auditor expert for one particular tax compliance matter. So here in this particular case, the second auditor expert is not an integral part to the audit, but first auditor expert is an integral part to the audit. So we will see the nature of matter. Next, we will see the significance of the matter. If there are significant judgment that need to be made by the auditor expert, then I will need to perform more procedures. In terms of previous experience, if I have not used any work of the auditor expert previously and I do not know about the competence, capabilities, and objectivity of the auditor expert, then I will need to perform more procedures. If the auditor expert is not part of my firm quality control system, which means if the auditor expert is an external expert, then I will need to perform more procedures. So these are the four factors that have come from above only. So if you know this, you can directly know this. Okay, yes sir. Next is what, sir? Here we were talking about CCO, and above we talked about the competence and capability. What about objectivity, sir? So now we are evaluating the objectivity of the auditor's expert, and this same particular thing will be answered or will be the same answer when we are evaluating the objectivity of management expert as per SA 500. I haven't told you there, but here I am telling you that this particular answer will come if the question asks that you have to evaluate the objectivity of the management expert. This is the only answer that will be coming for management expert and for the auditor expert as well. Okay, yes sir. Now while evaluating the objectivity, what we'll do, sir? We will do an inquiry of the entity. We will inquire with the audit entity whether they have any interest and relationship. What interests are, whether the auditor expert has any financial interest in the client or not, whether they have any business or personal relationship or not. Business relationship means what, sir? Whether the audit expert is providing any other services to the client or not. We will ask that particular to the entity. And what about auditor expert? Do we not have to ask auditor expert? We will just take in writing. We will take a written representation from the auditor expert regarding all the interest and relationship. And if while inquiry or if while taking written representation we got to know about any threats on the objectivity, then we will see whether there were any adequate safeguards that can reduce the threat to an acceptably low level, and we will discuss with the expert whether they have applied any safeguard or not. Okay, yes sir. This is done when we are evaluating the objectivity of the auditor's expert. Next is what, sir? Next we are understanding the field of expertise of the auditor expert. Now why we are understanding the field of expertise of the auditor expert, sir? First of all, so that we can see what is the nature, scope, and objective of the work, and so that I can evaluate the adequacy of the work. Otherwise, if I don't have any understanding of the field of expertise of the auditor expert, then how I will evaluate the adequacy, whether it is adequate for me or not. Okay, yes sir. So these two things, I need to understand the expertise of the auditor's expert. Next, like just like an auditor and a management have an engagement letter between them as per SA 210, just like an EP and an EQCR has an engagement letter between them as per SQC1. Here, an engagement, so the auditor and the auditor expert should also have an agreement in writing. Yes, the agreement between the auditor and the audit expert should be in writing. And in what are the terms or what are the things that are included in the agreement? These are the things that are included in the agreement, and these are more or less same that we have discussed in your SA 210. In the SA 210, we discuss about the engagement partner and the management. So, what are the things that are written in the engagement audit engagement letters? Are first of all your responsibilities of management and the responsibilities of auditor. So here we are also talking about the roles and responsibilities of auditor and the auditor's expert. Next, we are talking about in terms of auditor responsibility, we are talking about the objective and scope of audit. So here we are also talking about nature, scope, and objective of the work. Next, what is auditor responsibility, sir? Auditor's responsibility in this particular case is to maintain a communication with the auditor's expert, so that we are transferring all the information to the auditor expert. We need to decide the entity of the communication. Now here there is one particular thing. So they are saying normally the auditor expert will give you a formal written report at the end of the conclusion of the audit. Okay. Now here, but if the matter that the auditor expert is working on is relating to a significant risk, then the audit expert will have to give you a formal written report just like that. But he also have to give you oral reports as the audit progresses. So you have to orally tell you what are the procedures that he is applying, what is the conclusion that he is getting. So during the audit also he need to give you oral reports only in case of significant risk. This is an MCQ that was asked by an ICI. Next, what is the responsibility of the auditor expert? We are telling them the confidential information of the client. Since we are the auditor, we know the confidential information about the client, and we have to maintain professional ethics, and we have to follow fundamental principles, which means we have to follow confidentiality as well. So we need to tell the auditor expert that you have to follow confidentiality as well. And these all things are written in what, sir? These are written in agreement with the audit expert. In writing they are written. Okay, yes sir. Now, what are the circumstances in which we have to obtain detailed agreement with the audit expert? Now, these are the things that are included in the agreement, and these are the factors which will help us in determining whether we need to have a detailed agreement with the audit expert. When do we have a detailed agreement with the audit expert? When we haven't worked auditor with this particular auditor expert previously, when we do not know who is he, whether he has the CC or not. So we will have to make a detailed agreement. Secondly, the work that they are doing is highly complex, is highly significant for the audit. Then we will have to do a detailed agreement. And thirdly, it is so highly significant, so highly complex that it is a confidential information of the management. Suppose there is a legal case on the management and that is very confidential and we got to know about it and the auditor's expert is working on it. Then to keep that confidential information, I need to have a detailed agreement with the auditor expert so that he knows that he has to keep the information confidential. Okay. Yes, sir. So these are the four factors that will help us in determining whether we need to have a detailed agreement with the auditor expert or not. Okay. Yes, sir. This was everything about identifying the auditor expert and having an agreement and performing procedures over the auditor's expert work. And lastly, we will discuss the third phase, that is actually checking the auditor's expert work. Okay. Yes, sir. Let's discuss it from the concept book. Revision under revision. What we have discussed, sir? We are discussing about the considerations of the audit procedure. How we'll consider whether we need to perform audit procedures or not. Like we need to perform more or less audit procedure. We will see the matter and then we will see the expert. In terms of matter, we will see the nature, significance, and norm of the matter. We will see whether we have any previous experience in the work of that particular expert and whether that particular expert is part of our own firm's quality control system. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, when we have to perform more expensive procedures, sir, this is important. In terms of nature, it is integral part. In terms of significance, there are significant judgment. In terms of experience, we do not have any experience and we do not know about CCO. In terms of firm's quality control system, he is an external expert and is not part of our firm's quality control system. Then we will have to perform extensive procedures. Okay. Yes, sir. Next, when we are evaluating the auditor's expert, objectivity of the auditor expert, this is also important, sir. We need to inquire entity, not the auditor expert. We need to inquire entity regarding the interest or relationship with the auditor's external expert. And this we do specifically for external expert, okay? Because we know about the objectivity of internal expert, but do not know about the objectivity of external expert. So we are doing it for external expert only. Okay, yes, sir. What we do, sir, in terms of interest, we identify the financial interest. In terms of relationship, we identify business and personal relationship. In business relationship, we identify whether there is any other provision of services that is given by the auditor expert to the entity or not. Okay, yes, sir. And for this particular case, we also obtain written representation from the auditor's expert. And if we identify any threat, then we need to see whether there are any adequate safeguards that is applied by the auditor expert to reduce the threats to an acceptably low level. Okay, yes, sir. Next, we have to also obtain understanding of the field of expertise of the auditor expert so that we are able to know the nature, scope, and objective of the work, and we are able to evaluate the adequacy of their work. Okay, yes, sir. Now we need to have an agreement with the auditor expert, and it should be in writing. This is very important. The agreement should be in writing. In the agreement, what we will do, sir, first of all, we'll talk about the responsibilities responsibilities of the auditor and the auditor expert. In terms of auditor responsibilities, we will talk about the nature, scope, and objective of the expert's work, and our responsibilities to communicate with the auditor's expert, which means maintain NTE of communication. And in this particular case, if work is relating to significant risk, then both formal written report at the end of the audit and oral report as the audit progresses is mandatory. Okay, yes, sir. And also, what is the responsibility of the auditor expert to maintain confidentiality requirements? This is important. And last, this is also important that we need to have a detailed agreement. When do we need to have a detailed agreement? When I have not worked with this particular audit expert previously. So we have not worked with this particular audit expert previously. We are new to each other. Secondly, the work is very significant, or the work involves highly complex. Like the work is very highly complex. For example, there is a valuation of derivatives. And lastly, sir, the expert will be having an access to confidential information. Then we will have to have a detailed agreement. Okay, yes, sir. Now this is done, and now the auditor expert has worked. Now we need to evaluate the adequacy of the auditor expert work, whether it is adequate for me to accept, because I am the sole responsibility. I have having the sole responsibility for the opinion. Okay, yes, sir. And this particular case we have already discussed in SA 500. Wow, sir, what are you saying? Yes, we have already discussed in SA 500. We have discussed in SA 500 by evaluating the adequacy of the management expert work. First of all, we'll check the source data CAR. We check the CAR of the source data. CAR is basically what, sir? Completeness, accuracy, and relevance. In terms of relevance, we are talking about relevance and reasonableness. Now, on the source data, the auditor expert applies assumptions and method, and they find out any conclusion. So here we are talking about the relevance and reasonableness of assumptions and method, and the relevance and reasonableness of experts finding. Now here the 3 points are very same, but the description is changed. Now here in the description, if suppose we are checking the relevance and reasonableness of assumptions and method, what we have to check, sir? We have to check whether the assumptions and method are generally accepted or specialized model, which means whether they have a low estimation uncertainty or high estimation uncertainty. Next, sir, in terms of assumption and method, whether they are consistent with the FRF, and whether they are consistent with the management's assumptions and method. And if they are not consistent with the management assumptions and method, then we need to identify the reason. We need to ask the auditor expert why you have considered different assumption and method than the assumption and method considered by the management. Okay, yes, sir. Next. Now, what are the specific procedures to evaluate the adequacy of the audit expert work? Look at over here, you need to understand the heading. Here, the heading is asking for general procedures, and here the heading is asking for specific procedures. So what are the specific procedures? First of all, we will inquire with the audit expert. Oh, audit expert, have you worked correctly? He will say, yes, I have worked correctly. So now we will review the working papers and the reports that are provided by the auditor expert. Now, sir, why working papers? Sir, working paper is his property. Now, he will say the working paper is my property. Ownership of the working paper is with the auditor. I will not share you the working paper. Arey, beta, auditor expert is part of my engagement team, and whoever people are in my engagement team, I am the engagement partner. I have the ownership of their working papers. If tomorrow article tells me, oh, I am the article and I am the auditor and I have the working paper ownership, I will not give to the engagement partner. That doesn't work like that. So he is our part of an engagement team. So I have the responsibility. I have the ownership of his working paper. So I can review the working paper. Now, after reviewing the working paper, there can be two things. Either there can be good things, either there can be bad things. So suppose if there is an inconsistency, there is a bad thing, inconsistency with the other audit evidence, then what we will do, sir? We will have a discussion with the another auditor's expert. We will have a discussion with the competitor of this particular audit expert, and we will discuss like why there is an inconsistency and what there can be done in this particular situation. Suppose everything is good, then we will discuss this particular auditor's expert report with the management. Okay, yes, sir, this is done. And now, even after doing this, if we are not fully convinced regarding all the auditor's expert work and the adequacy of the audit expert work, then we can also obtain more, also perform more procedures. We can also obtain supportive evidences. Now, this more procedures is called what, sir? They are called corroborative procedures. What they are called, sir? They are called corroborative procedures, means supportive procedures. And what are the procedures? Either you can remember from this particular point, AEIOU. AEIOU we have discussed in your SA 500. A is basically what? Performing analytical procedure. E is external confirmation from the third parties. I is inspection, that is examining the public data. O is observing the auditor's expert work, and U is re-performing the calculations. Either you can remember from this particular mnemonic, or you can also remember from this particular thing that we are performing corroborative procedures, which means what, sir? We are observing the published data that is published by the third party, and we are re-performing analytical procedures on them. Okay, yes, sir. Now, this is done after evaluating the adequacy of the auditor's expert work. We found out that the auditor's expert work is not adequate for us. We are thinking that the auditor has not done the work correctly. Then what we will do, sir? We will ask the expert to do more work. We will agree with the auditor expert the nature and extent of the further work that is to be done by him, or we think that the auditor expert is of no use, he is useless, I have made a mistake, then I will perform the further audit procedure myself. Now, even after performing further audit procedure, even after the the auditor expert is performing for the audit procedure, we are if we think that the matter is not resolved yet, we are not able to resolve the matter, then we will give modified opinion. Now here students ask me, sir, why will give modified opinion if the auditor expert has not worked correctly? Then it is auditor's expert responsibility. Why we will give modified opinion to the management? So here what is happening is that the matter which is to be addressed by the auditor expert, he is not able to address. I am also not able to address. So basically, I am not able to get sufficient and appropriate audit evidence of that particular matter. That's why I am issuing a modified opinion. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, last point is they are saying that we have to report by the auditor. In the auditor's report, can we include a reference to the auditor's expert's work? Can we say in the audit report that this particular work is done by the auditor expert and reduce our responsibility? No. So they are saying that if you are issuing an unmodified opinion, you should not give any reference to the work of the auditor expert unless it is required by law and regulation. And secondly, if you are giving a modified opinion and the reference to the auditor expert is relevant to understanding of modification, then you can only give the reference of auditor's expert work. Which means what, sir? Suppose you have given a modified opinion in this particular case, and in this particular case, the reference to the auditor expert work is relevant, important for the users to understand the modification, then you can give. Otherwise, suppose you have given a modified opinion for PPE, and the auditor was used for the, maybe you can say, investments. Now, if I have given a modified opinion or a PPE, can I give a reference to the auditor expert work which was done on investments? No, sir, because it is not relevant over here for modification, so we will not give. Okay. Yes, sir, this is very important. Now, in both the cases, suppose law and regulation requires you to give a reference, or here if you are giving a reference, in both the cases, you don't have to be happy. You have to write in the auditor's report that this reference does not reduce your responsibility. You are solely responsible for the opinion that you are giving. And this is the same thing that we will be discussing in in service auditor as well, when we will be discussing SA 402 with SAE 3402. Okay. Yes, sir. Now, this is one MCQ. This we will discuss at the end of the revision video. Let's discuss it from the concept book what we have discussed till now. We are talking about evaluating the adequacy of the auditor expert work, which means what, sir? We will check the CAR of the source data, that is completeness, accuracy, and relevance. Then in terms of relevance and reasonableness, we will check what are the assumption and method applied on the source data and what are the findings. So relevance and reasonableness of significant assumptions and relevance and reasonableness of findings. In terms of significant assumptions and method, what we will check, sir? Whether they are generally accepted or specialized model, whether they are consistent with the FRA for management, and if not, what is the reason of difference. In terms of specific procedure, what we will perform, sir? We will first of all inquire with the auditor's expert. He will say everything is correct. Then we will review the working papers and reports. If it is inconsistent with the audit evidence, then we will discuss with the another expert. And if it is consistent, we will discuss with the management. Okay. Yes, sir. Now if we are not convinced, then we can perform more corroborative procedure in terms of AEIOU, that is performing analytical procedure, that is external confirming from the third parties, that is inspecting, examining the published data, observing the auditor expert work, and reperforming calculation. Okay. Yes, sir. Now there is one question that we have to do. In this particular question, what has been done is, so here there is a general meeting in which RPS is appointed as joint auditors. Now joint auditor, there is SA 299 for joint auditors. Now while we are evaluating the valuation of a newly constructed infrastructure, Mr. RPS individually referred to their own engineers because they didn't come on a consensus with one engineer. So they told that we will refer individually to our own engineer for this particular valuation. Now the engineer's report of each of the joint auditors had some significant discrepancies. Significant discrepancy means what, sir? They are very different from each other. One valuation report is saying some another value, and one engineer valuation report is saying some another value. So there is significant different discrepancies among all the valuation reports provided by the engineers. So now here in this particular case, Mr. R has agreed with the report that is provided by Mr. P's engineer. Engineer is what here, sir? Engineer is basically auditor's expert. All the auditors have referred to their engineer, which means all the auditors have referred to their auditor's expert. And now Mr. R is agreeing with Mr. P's auditor's expert, while Mr. S is not agreeing with the same. Mr. R is saying that I am agreeing with the Mr. P auditor report. We have a majority. So now we will use this Mr. P auditor report, auditor's expert report, for our auditor report. Now here Mr. S is in dilemma. Now what would be the responsibility of the auditor? If the report that is provided by Mr. P's engineer, Mr. P's expert report is found to be faulty, then who would be responsible over here? Now in this particular case, we obviously know, sir, as per SA 299, if there are joint auditors and if there is any disagreement between the matters that is covered in the auditor's report, then they can issue a separate opinion. So here we are assuming that the Mr. S would have issued a separate opinion, separate report with his own engineer's report, and Mr. R and P would have issued a combined report using the Mr. P's engineer report, and this particular report is very fault. So here the responsibility, the ultimate responsibility will be of Mr. R and P. This is what given over here. Here in this particular case, SA 299 tricky point is also mentioned. So one more thing I wanted to tell you, that this is the question bank that you will be getting in a printed form. The way you are seeing the color coded question bank, everything will be color coded. Your questions will also be highlighted, answers will also be highlighted, your sources will also be highlighted, and this is in same sequence as our concept book, and all the concepts topic are also mentioned at the question. So when you are doing a particular concept, you can directly do all the questions relating to that particular topic with the concept itself. Okay, yes sir. And in the question mark as well, we are going to give you tricky points so that you are not able to, you are not very confused regarding any of the questions. So here in this particular case, you might think that SA 299 would also be applicable, but ICA has not mentioned because this particular question is relating to auditor's expert. Okay, yes sir. So we will also not mention. So here what they have written is, they have written the as per SA 620, they are the examples of the expertise that the auditor expert can have in. Here the auditor has the sole responsibility for the auditor opinion expressed. And now while evaluating the adequacy of the auditor expert work, we have to perform three things, that is source data, car, relevance and reasonableness of assumptions and method, and expert finding. These are the three things that you've mentioned over here. In the given case, what has happened, they have again mentioned these three things again. And lastly, that they are saying that here Mr. R and P will be responsible for grossly negligence, and since the Mr. P's engineer report was faulty, and Mr. S will not be held liable because we are assuming that he has provided separate reports. So here Mr. S will not be liable, but Mr. R and P would be liable because they were entitled to perform procedures on the adequacy of the auditor's expert work, and if they would have performed, they would have got to know that the report is faulty. Okay, yes sir, this was your question number 2. Next is, if the auditor expert work is not adequate, then we need to perform more. Auditors expert need to perform further work, and we need to perform further audit procedure. And if we're not able to resolve the matter, then we need to issue modified opinion. And lastly sir, whether we can refer to the auditor expert work or not, sir, first of all, in case of unmodified opinion, you cannot unless law and regulation requires you to do so. And secondly, in case of modified opinion, in that reference is relevant to understanding of the modification, then you can give the reference. But in both the cases, you need to write that your responsibility is not reduced because of the reference. Okay, yes sir, let's do one MCQ sir. Look at over here, we are going to do one MCQ and you have to tell me the answer in the comments. So what is happening over here is, there is XYZ company which is appointed as statutory auditor of this particular company for the year ended this particular thing. Now the company is holding investment properties which is measured as a fair value, and investment they have significant environmental restoration obligation, and they have also maintained a defined benefit gratuity plan. This is everything related to FR. Now, owing to specialized nature of these balances, both management and auditor have involved their experts. So management is having their expert and auditor is also having the expert. Now here, look at over here, you have to answer. They are saying that the management is engaged in an independent valuation expert so that they can determine the fair value of the investment property. The auditor has concluded that the expert is professionally qualified, and therefore they have accepted the valuation report without evaluating the assumptions, method and source data used by the expert. Whether it is correct or not, you have to tell me. Second, the auditor has engaged an environmental engineer as an auditor expert so that they can evaluate the restoration provision. Now, during the engagement, the expert informed the auditor that the management has restricted the access to certain technical reports. The management is not allowing the auditor's expert to refer to certain technical reports that can affect the estimate. The engagement partner is nevertheless relied upon the expert's conclusions without assessing the effect of restriction, whether they can able to obtain the sufficient appropriate or audit evidence or not. Engagement partner has not assessed this, and they have blindly relied on the expert's evaluation report. Is it correct or not? You have to tell me. Next is what's up. When we were evaluating the gratuity liability, we have developed a certain range, independent range. Auditor expert developed a certain independent range that differed from management actuary's estimate. So management actuary has made another estimate, and our expert has made an independent range, and that were very different. Now the management's estimate is falling within our acceptable range. What I am saying, that management's estimate, the estimate that is made by the management is falling within that acceptable range, but management's actuary's estimate is not falling within that acceptable range. Now the auditor has concluded that no adjustment was necessary just because the auditor's point estimate differed from management's estimate. There was no adjustment necessary. Here, whether the auditor is concluding correctly or not, you have to tell me. And lastly, sir, after considering the nature of the work performed, the significance of the expert's finding, the assumptions that were used, the consistency of the conclusions with the other audit evidence, the engagement partner concluded after considering all these things that the work of the audit expert is adequate for the auditor purposes. Whether it's right or wrong, you have to tell me. These are the options. You have to tell me the correct answer with the reason. Those who give the correct answer with the reason, I will give a heart. And if you don't know the correct answer, you can directly check my pinned comments so to know the correct answer with the reason. So here it was our SA620. I hope everything is crystal clear to you. Please do like the video so that we are able to achieve our target. Comment down, we will become chartered accountants, so that I know that you have actually watched this video to last, and do give your feedback on our resources and this revision videos. That will definitely motivate me to put more revision videos and more valuable content for CA final audit. And sir, just last I want to tell you that this is our free resources. These are the free resources that we have already posted in our YouTube and Telegram channel. Please do stop the video, pause the video, and see all the resources that we have already provided, and do ensure that you are not missing out on any of the resources. And I have also provided my number at this particular video resources thing, that is 9023725601. You can WhatsApp me on this number and ask your any query. I will be happy to reply to you and respond to you. And this was like, you can definitely refer any of the question of 620 and you will be able to do it. And all the important topic that I have made you mark here are general important topic. Your attempt specific most expected topics will be coming just before your attempt. And lastly, sir, the last thought that I want to give you is, as auditors take help from experts, CA students shouldn't hesitate either. As auditors take help from the experts, CA students can take help from their friends, from their mentors, from their faculties, because they are the ones who have lived this journey, who know what are the mistakes that are made by the other students, who have experienced all these failures. Now they can teach you, they can guide you so that you don't make the mistakes. So if you know someone and if you have the accessibility, then you should definitely take guidance from someone. You can definitely message me for any of the guidance. I would be more than happy to help you. And this was everything about SA620. This time we will get exemption in audit. We will become chartered accountant. Thank you so much. Please keep me in your prayers. Bye bye.